It took me a whole year to hand make this rug. In this video, I'll show you the process of how I made it. Yo, what's up guys? So the left image is the original manga art from JoJo's. Thought it would be funny to make a meme out of it and have it as a rug, so that's the concept art I made on the right. Then I wanted to see how much a professional would charge me to make this. Low Carpet Craft on Instagram would charge me $250 before shipping, which is pretty good. And in retrospect, if you're gonna do this, I recommend doing that. Then I traced over the original image just to make the line art a bit simpler for the printer and for me to trace over. And then I changed everything from black to white and made sure it was color coded right, so later when it prints I know what's going on. Here I sent it over to MS Paint to print. Before I sent it over, I scaled it to 3 feet by 3 feet, which is how big the rug is, and then MS Paint will adjust how many pages it needs to print in order to get it to that size. Keep the margins. Also make sure it prints in black and white, because you do not want to waste 20 pages of color for this. Print that baby out, set it down, get a view of it, try to set it all up, and if you have a cat, make sure they do not see you do this. Was she coming? Oh my god. Alright, then you want to get a rough idea of how it all fits together before you tape it. And when you cut the margins, make sure that one end of the page has the margin and the other doesn't. Kind of like puzzle pieces, but also not. One thing I recommend that I forgot to do is to add a line around the rug to show where the border of the design is. So this is what it should look like. So what I did is you just put a little bit of tape. You line it up, tape it where it's lined up. After you have it all laid out with little tapes, you do one big long tape against the seams. In spots where the margin is hanging out the corner, messing with the design, you can do a diagonal cut along the corner to make sure it doesn't show. And this is what the rug looks like all taped together. It's cool because this is the size of what the finished product will be, so if you don't like how it is right now, now is the time to change it. I liked it right here, so we're gonna go ahead and make the frame. For the frame, try to make each side like 6 inches longer than the size of the rug. Having it too big is better than having it too small. For the wood, I recommend using 1x2s and not 2x4s. I only had 2x4s, so I had to use a jigsaw to cut them, which went horribly. If you have any kind of equipment, this would be easy, but like the jigsaw blade ended up breaking and almost went in my eye, and then I had to sand down the bootleg 1x2s because of how badly I cut them with the jigsaw. So for sure, just buy 1x2s or like a square piece of wood to make the frame out of. When I had some bootleg 1x2s, I screwed them together and I made a frame. Then you want to take your monk's cloth and staple it to the frame. After stapling it to one side, you want to pull as you staple it to the other sides to create tension. You want to staple every 2 inches or so. It's really whatever you think looks right. I lost the clips of me doing this for the first time, so here's me redoing it after 8 months because it lost tension and it was hard to hand punch. When you're done, it should be like a little trampoline and you should be able to bounce a Sharpie or a pen on it. Here's the tension I went for when I retensioned it. Now that you have it all tensioned, cut off the excess monk's cloth and we are ready to trace the design. Tape the design to the side of the frame where the monk's cloth was stapled to so it lays flat. You can now start tracing from the other side where the design will look mirrored. Later we will punch the yarn through this side to create loops in the front. The loops are what makes the rug. For tracing the rug, I basically pressed it against the window and used a Sharpie on the monk's cloth just to get the design onto the monk's cloth. I didn't do this, but a good idea is you could possibly print the design out in color and color in your design with different colored Sharpies. That may be easier, but for this process, I just looked at my phone whenever I was doing it to see what color goes where. But if you really want to get it color coded, you can use Sharpies for that. I've seen people use projectors for this. There are a lot of different methods to get the design. For me personally, this was the easiest because, you know, who doesn't have a window? It was pretty fun, pretty relaxing. And this is what it looks like all done. I did end up using the green Sharpie to designate white areas of the rug. Again, be sure to mark out the border of the rug. I had to do mine manually with a tape measure and that took me forever. So to start off, get your punch needle and thread the included piece of metal through it. You start at the tip of the needle all the way out the end, get some yarn, put it through, and pull the needle back through the front. Now bring it over to your monk's cloth. You punch it through the monk's cloth, pull the yarn out the other side, and now you can begin tufting. You want to keep a 45-degree angle. It creates loops on the other side, and these loops are what makes the rug. If you're gonna make more than one rug, I recommend getting a tufting gun. They're $200, but they make the process a lot faster. Personally, this was a one-off project, so I just went with a punch needle. I would recommend one if you're gonna start a business out of this. I've linked down below in the description the videos I've used, and they are great sources for this. When you're tufting, be sure not to punch the lines too close to one another. The rug will still show well on the other side, and if you would like the rug to be fuller, you can fill in the gaps later. I made the mistake of leaving no gaps, and it could have saved me a lot of time making this rug if I had not punched everything in so tightly. As you tuft your rug, when you want to end a line, you punch the punch needle all the way through, you pull the yarn through the bottom a little bit, pull the needle up, cut the excess, and then take it out. Now you can flip the rug over and start trimming the excess yarn from when you ended a line. In this example right here, I ended a bunch of lines, but I didn't trim them every time. I usually just do it every 20 minutes. I'll be like, all right, I'll go trim everything I just did, and that's what I'm doing here. For this big rug, I was using my knee to put pressure from the bottom so I could cut it from the top. If you don't put pressure, you might actually pull out the yarn, kind of messing up your process. So that's one thing to be aware of. If you're not doing the knee thing, be careful pulling the yarn up when you go to cut it. All right, some other things to be aware of. This rug took me 2 spools of black yarn, 2 spools of purple yarn, and 1 of every other color to make. I will include a list of all the materials I used in the description. In total, this rug costed me about $120 with the staple gun. I already had a drill, so it might cost you more if you need one. But yeah, this was one of the most mentally challenging things I had done at the time. It was hard working on it every day and visually seeing how far I had to go to finish it. One way I got around this was working on it once a day, even if it was only for 5 minutes. Some days I worked for hours, some days it was only 5 minutes. But if I had only done it when I felt motivated, I would have never finished this rug. My advice, make a ritual out of it. Watch a podcast while you do it. Watch a show while you do it. For me, I watched the Chuckle Sandwich podcast while I worked on it, and I love that shit. If it weren't for them, this rug would have never been made. This whole process is a bit boring, but make it fun. You have to make it fun or else you're not gonna want to do this. So then I finished up making the rug, which is probably one of the most satisfying things I've ever done. Just seeing how far I came over the course of the year was so rewarding. So after that, all that's left to do is to finish up the rug. You can either glue it or hand stitch the edges. I went with the glue method. Both are optional. I started off using silicone rug glue since it leaves the design visible and doesn't smell as bad as regular rug glue. But then I decided to use the regular rug glue anyways when I found out the silicone rug glue wasn't holding it together very well. Now, I've heard that you don't really need rug glue for hand-punched rugs since the high amount of loops should hold it together with tension, but I had just spent a year working on this and I didn't want to take any chances, so totally up to you whether or not you want to do it. Anyways, I let the glue air dry in my garage for a couple days because it really smelled. This stuff will really smell. The smell goes away about after a month of just having it on the rug, but be prepared. After the rug was dried, I cut it out of the frame, leaving about 4 inches of monk's cloth around every part of the rug. I then folded the monk's cloth in and hot glued it to the rug. Now, here's when you can either do a hand stitch or a waterfall. I decided to do the waterfall method, which is folding the rug in on itself. So when you look at it from the side, the design is folding over the rug. Anyways, I will link the tutorial I used for this in the description. Then I cut a long piece of fabric that I got from Micheals to put on the back of the rug. The thing is with rug glue, it's always sticky. The smell goes away about after a month, but the rug is still sticky to this day. So if you end up gluing the rug, I recommend putting it back in so it doesn't collect dirt that might make it gross. I put minimal amounts of hot glue just to keep the backing on, and then I'm done. It's been 1 year since I made this rug, and it's holding up very well. If you would like to, an additional step is to get a sheep razor or just a hair razor to trim the rug. Again, given the time it took me to make the rug, I didn't want to risk it, like over trimming it, under trimming it. I'm just gonna leave it natural. It looks fine natural. Anyways, if you made it this far into the video, I just want to say thank you for watching. I wish you good luck on your rug making journey. Take your time, research, and make mistakes. I made many mistakes making this rug, and it still came out great. If you're into gaming, or you just like my voice, be sure to check out my other videos. Thank you for watching. I appreciate it. Have a good one.
Dear Slim, I wrote you, but you still ain't calling. I left my cell, my pager, and my home phone at the bottom. I sent 2 letters back in autumn, you must not have got them. It probably was a problem at the post office or something. Sometimes I scribble addresses too sloppy when I jot them. But anyways, fuck it. What's been up, man? How's your daughter? My girlfriend's pregnant too. I'm about to be a father. If I have a daughter, guess what I'ma call her? I'ma name her Bonnie. I read about your Uncle Ronnie too, I'm sorry. I had a friend kill himself over some bitch who didn't want him. I know you probably